Good morning, everybody. So I'm back, and I'm back with a reading about the drones, you guys. So don't follow any emails or links in the comment section of my videos soliciting you for anything, whether it's someone pretending to be me soliciting you or it's someone else soliciting you. Do not follow untrustworthy emails and links. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's scams. Not good. Don't do it. Just don't do it, you guys. And secondly, the healing intentions are set for you folks. Always, 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 if you so choose and you want that. Go ahead and decree that for your highest and greatest good, only and always. Breathe that in and just enjoy and take in that energy. All right, so this drone stuff, it's been going on for over a month or close to a month. It's been going on since November, mid-November, November, something. And there's been a lot of talk about it. It's on the lips of everybody. It's it's on everybody's Facebook. It's the truthers are talking about it. Everybody's amped up about it, right? So I had somebody ask me to do a reading on it and see what I got. And I was going to get together with a friend, and because she is in a place that has drone activity, and she was gonna ask some questions, and we were gonna do a reading on it together. And we can probably still do that if she has different questions or whatever. But I just figured, because that hadn't worked out just yet, I would get this simple reading done. So there's a lot of cards, but I had simplistic questions, okay? So that's what I did today. This is what I've done. So the first thing I wanted to know, the very first thing I started with was just one card. And what I wanted to know, you guys, was what this drone activity is meant to be doing. Like, what is the purpose behind this drone activity? What is the intention of all of these flying objects? And what I got with that question, you guys, that chair needs to be moved because every time I bump it, it's going to make a noise. So what I got with that, the one card that I asked for was the Page of Cups. And for me, when I'm looking at my question, you got to interpret these cards and the messages. It depends on your question, right? So I'm looking at this and I'm seeing, all right, this is meant to elicit emotion. The Page of Cups, Page is young. Our inner children, our inner child is a young, emotional energy, right? And so it's meant to elicit all of this emotion. And I found that interesting, you guys. And I find that interesting because I know with people, if we're not working on healing, if we're not working on being self-aware, if we're not working on being conscious of what's taking place with us, then when our emotions are triggered, rather than going within and seeking things out, finding the answers as to why we've been triggered, most people, when they're emotionally triggered, it doesn't bode well. It usually pushes forward some sort of negative response. So, I wanted to know if I was reading this right. The whole purpose of these drones is to elicit and trigger emotion. Is that correct? And I did. Was correct with the King of Pentacles. Now, the secondary message to the King of Pentacles, you guys, is that he is abundant. So when you're asking this question, it's like, yes, I got it right. It's meant to trigger an abundance of people's emotions. So a lot of people, it's meant to trigger a lot of people. It's meant to trigger them emotionally. It's meant to trigger a lot of emotions in a lot of people. Isn't that interesting? Because I'm still looking at it from a place of the average person isn't working on self-awareness. the average person isn't working on healing old wounds. The average person isn't working on healing the inner child, right? So I find that interesting. So I'm like, so you're saying that these drones are literally meant to elicit an abundance of people's abundant emotions. You're saying that? Seriously. My guys, they probably get tired of me sometimes because I'm just like, sometimes I'll just like, just having like, please explain this, right? So now they're screaming at me with a yes under this very spiritual 8, grounding heaven into earth, higher arcana card, taming the beast. Yes, Lorri. The drone activity is meant to elicit an abundance with this King of Pentacles, an abundance of emotions here on the earth plane within an abundance of people. Yes. And the secondary message with this is that this is a spiritual time, you guys, and this abundance of emotions is actually grounding strength. It's grounding heaven down into earth. It's creating strength and perseverance, obviously, and it's making people want to tame that beast, right? The beasts of the earth. So it's triggering a lot of things. And it is true that when we go through hard times, we do gain strength from that. So, okay, all right, I'm hearing what you're saying, but I want more, obviously, because I'm like that. And let me move this chair completely out of my way here. So yeah, I want more. So if this is the case and it's triggering a lot of emotions, and it's meant to in a lot of different people, and Spirit's telling me that this is actually a good thing. It's a very spiritual time that we're going through. This is grounding some heaven down into earth, making people kind of like get those uploads, right? Downloads. As you're pulling from heaven down into earth, you're gaining strength, but it's also making you want to tame these earthly beasts. Can you give me more of a story here? So we're talking about drones. Remember that we're talking about drones. I asked for a 7-card spread. So the first thing that will represent the story is the drones, right? Because that's what we're talking about. And nefarious things, right? Okay. So, and now this is the energy. This card is the energy that is driving the story, and it's the energy that drives the pathway. It's the driving force of this pathway that we're on right now with this drone activity. All right, so what is driving this energy? Now you look at this is a 3. So be happy, even though this appears bad, right? So there's always joy. I always say that. We're meant to walk hand in hand with joy and pain simultaneously. And when we can learn to do that, we're actually really experiencing the human experience rather than the egoic experience. Because often with people, when we're experiencing pain, the ego wants you to hang on to just the pain. And learning to be that heavenly person, grounding heaven down into earth, we learn how to experience pain, but also joy simultaneously. In other words, it's horrible when we lose a child, and that pain is always going to be with us. But when a parent can walk hand in hand with the pain that they carry from the loss, but see the other children that they have as a blessing still, and not only be focused on the one that they lost, that's when we've created the balance of being able to have the human experience where now we know how to walk hand in hand with pain and joy. Does that make sense? So that's really what, that's really what this card is representing, walking hand in hand with pain and joy. And knowledge, okay? And lies, and things that are hurtful, painful, and how that's been brought to us via words, right? News, via technology. And if you look, this is cloudy weather. So our air, because the swords represent the air, they represent words, mind, ego, and technology. So it's a great card, really, that they gave me to explain the rest of this reading. So this is what's driving the entire thing. All right, so yes, the drones are technology. The talk about them is our words, the mind, the ego, the news that's out there, more of that. But this has been happening over a long period of time. We should be feeling joyful. This is a joyful experience right now because there's been truth out there for a long time about what's been going on with our weather, with our clouds, with our weather, with our air, and with technology. However, lies have overridden the truth about our technology, about our clouds, about our weather, about our air, and about the truth, right? So this is what's driving the whole thing. And who's been lying? Who's been doing all of this stuff? Well, we have the magician. So the magician there would be the powers that be, creating all of these illusions, these lies, doing all of these things, being like the masters of the universe, right? And then above them, you have they're doing all of this work to continuously ground things down into our earth, groundwork, and then grounding more in. And what are they doing it through? They're doing it a lot through through technology that people may not be aware of, through cloud manipulation, through weather manipulation, through our air. It's ridiculous, right? This mass manipulation that's been going on over time. So that's the pathway. And now here we are with drones. And they seem nefarious, right? And there's a hyper-focusing. People are hyper-focusing on all of these drones and this activity and what's in them and what are they doing. And the truth of the matter is lots of people are saying that they're spraying things. And there's all sorts of stories being told, right? And it's triggering people's emotions, an abundance of it. And they're hyper-focusing on it. They're hyper-focusing on this, right? So, yeah, there's all of these fresh emotions that are going on right now with all of these activities that seem nefarious, that people are hyper-focusing on, that seem nefarious. And so it's actually opening that crown chakra of people to take a look, right? So what's happening? You know, this truth, this little bit of truth that's always been out there, but it's been covered with lies, is now being shown and is now being hyper-focused on so that, you know, it's opening up the minds and it's triggering fresh feelings in people. All right, so this is like, with the hurricanes. The hurricanes were horrific, and people saw them just like this as very, very bad, very bad, 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 bad. And that's how people are seeing these drones. The average people are seeing these drones as bad, bad, right? So those hurricanes were horrific, and they were tragic and traumatic. But isn't it interesting that through that time, first all the crap with FEMA happened, and it got normal people that wouldn't have been talking about things just a few weeks prior to that, talking about corrupted systems. What corrupted system? FEMA. They were finally seeing FEMA as a corrupted system. I remember years ago, my best friend and I saying, oh yeah, all of these evacuation routes, follow the evacuation route straight to the FEMA camps that Obama has been putting up. How about hell no? We trusted FEMA about as far as we could, you know, pick our house up and throw it. Like, no, hell no. But most people believed FEMA was a good organization, and they trusted that. So the first thing that happened with the hurricanes, first thing that people really got talking about was FEMA, if you remember, and corrupted organizations, corrupted government organizations. And then the next thing, people that wouldn't have been talking about this stuff weeks prior to that started talking about was weather manipulation and weather modification. And I mean, I was seeing this on my Facebook page by people that would have looked at me even weeks before that as though I had the crazy eye, right? To bring these things up. Like, oh yeah, there's Lorri again, being a crackpot. Now all of a sudden these people that wouldn't have looked at this stuff before are looking at it. It's like those hurricanes created an opening of people's crown chakras. And then the next thing I know, because the corrupted systems took them down a rabbit hole, they started then going down another rabbit hole into the weather modification, the hurricanes itself, and then they started looking into food, and they started posting about all of the things that have been done with our food. So it really, I was amazed at how many people woke up during those horrible hurricanes in the Carolinas and Florida. It was just in South Carolina and Florida. I was amazed at how many people woke up because of that tragic event. So I'm not saying that these drones are tragic. What I am saying is that people are seeing them that way, and it's opening their crowns, and it's getting them to feel things. And what they're hyper focusing on is all of this, the technology, all of the things going on with that. It's very interesting. So it's part of the Great Awakening. It's part of what is waking people up. It's igniting their crowns. So I want more of a story, okay? So more of the story is, for a long time, people have been very focused. You notice his eyes are straight on. He's not looking up. He's not looking down. He's like very focused on his assets in this world. He's just hanging on to his assets. He's just hanging on. And he's holding on tight. He's only thinking about the assets. He can only really feel about the assets. And he's really trying to keep those assets beneath his feet. So when we're talking about the population and we're looking at something like that, what do you take that for? For me, personally, that's, most people are in fight or flight. And they work hard every day just trying to pay their bills and hold on to their assets. And they're so caught up in that it's very hard for them to focus on anything else. It's just we work really hard to balance our lives the best that we can, keep the roof over our heads, keep the food on the table, keep our property. It's get up, go to work hard, come home, be exhausted, hopefully get a decent bite to eat, hopefully get in a shower, and maybe if you're lucky, get to unwind a little tiny bit before you get up and you go to work and you do it all again. It's that fight or flight survival mode, right? So people have been in that for a long time, you guys. And while we've been in this fight or flight survival mode, there's been this great change with this 5 happening to people over time. So this is the 5 of Pentacles, and 5 is great change and it's chaos. So great change has been happening through chaos over time with people by what? Systems, right? Because this is a church behind these very sick people, very poor people, very unwell people. You see his foot's a mess. They don't have all their needs. They're hunched. They don't look well. And a church, to me, is a system. A hospital is a system. The police force, that's a system. Our service, our military, that's a system, right? So this is a system card for me, because that stained glass window for me represents a church. And so this is a church, this is a system that has been creating chaos and great change via, do you see the snow? Do you see the weather? This is really bad weather. How does the weather come down? Via our air, right? What's happening to these people? It's having a bad effect on them. So in regards of what we're talking about in this Great Awakening, and all of this information that's been smeared with lies, so only just a few people know the truth here, because the powers that be have been manipulating things forever and laying groundwork and grounding more things into this earth that make people sick via our technology, our air, our weather, and lying to people about it. Here you go, more of a backup there, right? And people just, they haven't been able to see it because they're just way too busy trying to survive. They're just trying to survive. The Spirit's telling me through this card that we've had a lot of damage done to us, and we've actually been changed over time because of this. We've become a sicker race because of this. So everything on the planet's sicker. That would be the grass is sicker, the trees are sicker, the soil is sicker, the animals are sicker, we are sicker, right? This is what's been happening to us, creating chaos in the body and a state of unwellness, dire straits. So, for years, people just can't see that. They're too much in survival mode. And meanwhile, this has been taking place. And now these drones are serving people to be able to look at this tangibly. It's creating hyper-focusing on, opening up those crown chakras. And now they're kind of holding on to what's right there in front of them. They can see it. This is tangible. Okay, so maybe all this information wasn't bullshit because we can see this. This is tangible. This is right here in front of our eyes on the earth plane. And you know what? A lot of attention's being drawn to it. A lot of attention. And so everybody's eyes are on it. And they're seeing it as tangible. Wow, what's going on with these drones? This is not a good thing. That's what they want. Spirit says this is good, that people do see this as nefarious because it's opening up the crowns and it's triggering new emotions. And then this information goes out and it gets shared. And it's getting shared under the information of love, under the vibration of love, in a caring way. So it's not that we haven't all shared our information for a long time with good intentions, but now things are tangible. They see them, they're hyper-focused on them, and they're very tangible. It's there for them to see. There's no denying it, really. It's so much and so blatant, right, that there's really no denying it. It's opening up that crown. And so the way the information's being shared now feels different to them. It feels caring. It feels different to them. When we shared it for years and years, because there wasn't this explosion of events right there in front of them, that's like, oh, wow, I can't deny this. This is tangible. I can't stop looking. This is real. It's open in my crown. This is actually tangible stuff. They're seeing it as real. So the sharing feels different. To them, before, we all felt like crackpots. Now, because they're looking at it as a tangibility, because it's in front of them, so full force they can't help but see it, the sharing of information feels different. Just does. It's just the way that it is. I know that might feel frustrating for some of you, but it's the same as you can't learn somebody else's lessons and you can't learn your own through somebody else's experiences. Often we have to experience it ourselves. So there are some things that we can look at and we can see and we can learn by watching others. Like, for instance, I knew when I watched drug addicts that I didn't want to get hooked on drugs. I saw the negative impact of that when I was young. And I knew by watching that I didn't want that in my experience. But there's been a whole hell of a lot of stuff, you guys, that even though I knew it in my head and even had a feeling for it in my heart, I still had to go through the experience of particular things in order to learn particular things that I was meant to learn. I still had to experience it myself, right? So with this big circulation of news and everyone's talking about it and look at all these drones and, oh my gosh, it's been going on for a month. These guys can't deny it. They're experiencing it, which gets them to sharing it. And it just feels different to them, okay? It just feels different. It's no longer a conspiracy feeling to them. It's like right there, it's tangible. And people can't help but hyper-focus on it. And it's opening their crowns. And it's making them realize there have been nefarious things going on within this earth plane. And then it's been going on, and they've been lying about stuff for a long time. And maybe all of the stuff that they had heard, that they believed the bullshit instead, maybe these things are true. So let's start sharing this information and delving deeper, right? So up here now we've got that Four of Swords, right? So yes, that information has always been there. But with this drone activity, this bump up of drone activity with flying objects in the sky, with this bump up and this focus on it, This is bringing this information up fresh, and it's getting people to look at all of this stuff that's been under the surface because they weren't looking at what there was for information. They didn't look at that. But we've been praying that people would wake up to it. We've all been praying that they would wake up to this. And so now the events that are taking place are bringing this up, and people are looking at it. And when they look at this, they're also probably going to delve into all of this. And this is part of what we've all been praying for, that great awakening. So over the last 4 years, people have been saying, oh, nothing's happening, no one's waking up. That's not true. People have been waking up little by little. 2020 shook a lot of people awake. And it seems like at the end of 2024, people are really starting to wake up to these things. So what I get here, you guys, this is what I'm getting. Spirit sees this as a very good thing, because through all of these events, it is open in the minds of people. And they're seeing things differently, and it feels different in sharing this information. And so this is actually what we've all been praying for. But you know what? Just because Spirit says this is like a good thing, and I see where they're saying it's a good thing, doesn't mean that the intentions behind triggering people's emotions were a good thing. So now I come over here, and that's what I want to know. So now that I understand that the universe and Spirit all see this as a wonderful process that humanity is going through, it's just one more thing that's waking people up and getting them to talk, that it's unbinding their minds, that all of these drones, did I read this to you guys? In case I didn't, I'm going to. I think I did, but I'm going to real quick. All of these drones are actually working through chaos strategically to get people's minds to be unbound, and it's very healing. I did read that to you, I think. So next thing I wanted to know is, all right, so I see that Spirit sees this as a good thing. I see that the intention behind the drone activity is to trigger people emotionally, but I still haven't gotten a clear and decisive answer. Like, I know that it's a good thing that people's emotions are triggered. I see the story as to why. I see that it is waking people up to things. I understand all of that. But what I want to know now is, are the intentions behind the people that are operating the drones, that are sending the drones up, that are creating all of this havoc in the skies, are their intentions good? Because, just like with those hurricanes, you guys, those hurricanes were bad. That was bad. That was tragic and traumatic. But through that chaos and that trauma and that tragedy, it served spiritually to open people's crowns and wake them up to things that they had been prior to that asleep to. So just because the events that are happening are creating a good thing for humanity, I still don't have my answer. Are the people behind these drones and what's going on, is it a good intention? Are their intentions good? And so I asked, I want to know that. And I got the Queen of Wands. So yes, the intentions are good. That's my yes. And I felt like there was more because with the Queen of Wands, she's a manifester, right? So yes, the intentions are good. She's manifesting. What's manifesting? More of the same, you guys. But what's manifesting is that people's eyes are opening, and now they're starting to see, they can see the good stuff, they can see the good stuff, and they can see the bad stuff under that vibration of love. So discernment and deciphering, things are becoming clearer and clearer to them, so they can also see that good stuff because of all of this bad stuff and the fear, the darkness that they're focusing on right now is serving to wake them up to not just the bad stuff, but to the good stuff. And it's actually lifting that vibration to a higher place, that higher frequency of love. So it's getting rid of the mind wipe that the media tells them, and they're able to see the good and the bad. So it's teaching people discernment and lifting vibration. part of the Great Awakening, right? Part of going into a new era. So, and through this, you guys, people are going to want to create change. So through being able to see the bad stuff, just like over there, the things that have been done with our air and our weather and what's happening to people, through waking up to all of this, they're going to be able to start seeing the good stuff. And that's what's really driving everything. They're going to want to create change. That we've got change coming, and people are going to want to create the change. In order to get the change here, the Queen of Wands, she's manifesting new things, right? So she's manifesting people awakening. She's manifesting change over time. I would say this is a white hat operation, you guys. So this is waking people up to want to create change. Temperance changes things. She creates change over time. And this has been manifesting over time. The wake up of people over time, so that new things can come in over time, right? So, interesting. Now, when I was shuffling, these two cards fell out. So I set them aside, shuffled, cut, pulled. And then after I read this, I tipped these two cards over. So these two cards fell out. We always want to take and hold on to what fell out, because that's more of spirit telling a story. So what they're saying here, you guys, is that we're on point, on path. And we're just going through a time that's very scary feeling. This is a 7, though. So it's the 7 of Wands. The path is beautifully bloomed, okay? Not all the way open, you'll look. I mean, these flowers haven't completely opened yet, but they're getting ready to. So this is my on point, on path card. It's under the 7, which is a very spiritual number, the seeker. The path that this little girl is walking down is bloomed all around her. So it's on path. She's on path. But it's scary, though, you guys, because she's just a little girl. She's about 12, maybe younger. And she's out alone at night in the dark. There's very little moon. So it's pretty dark. She can't see very well. She's actually got her hands in front of her, feeling her way down her path. This is her path. It's all bloomed, but it's kind of scary. It's scary. And this is where we're at right now. We're on point. We're on path. Our path is bloomed. We haven't reached our destination yet where all of our flowers are open, but they're opening. And this is a very spiritual time for humanity, all of us, because I'm reading this for all of us, right? In regards to what is going on right now. And it's meant to feel that way. This path is literally, with this card right beside it, it's meant to feel that way. So even though this path doesn't necessarily have to feel that way, depending on how you perceive it, with this card right beside it, it's meant to feel that way. It's meant to feel as though we're moving very cautiously across thin ice right now. It's meant for us to feel that way. So this guy's out and he's traveling and he's like, I've got to get across this ice and I'm just not sure what to do. If I belly crawl, I could fall through and I'll be totally wet and cold, get hypothermia. If I go across it on my feet, I could fall through. Again, I'll be cold. What if I go across it with these stilts? Maybe if one of them go through, it will still hold me above water. This is a pretty good idea. It's blooming. It's got, life in it, even though, they're pretty bare. There is life in doing it this way. He will make it across this thin ice. There are other ways he could have decided to do things, because we could have more blooms on there. There are other ways that he could have decided to do things that would have taken away those blooms. But these are bloomed. He's going to make it across this thin ice. It's a little sketchy. His idea was a little sketchy, because honestly, he is putting all of his weight on very small points, right? It's a little sketchy, but he's going to make it. It feels pretty scary, though. It's like we're on thin ice. Are we going to make it? Yes, we're going to make it, because this is on point and on path. This is a very spiritual journey. So the intentions are good, you guys, and it's serving a much higher spiritual purpose. Spirit sees this as good. And I asked if I had read all of this to all of you correctly, and I got the Chariot. Yes, that's a higher arcana card. That's my yes, you guys. Under the vibration of 7. The Chariot is well protected physically as he moves forward, but he's also protected spiritually as he moves forward. So remember, we're protected. We're on point and on path. It's meant to feel a little scary. The intentions behind all of this are good. This is part of waking people up to the bullshit that's been going on via social media, the lies. This is really serving to get people to see the truth about what's good and what's bad. It's going to make people want the change that is coming. They're going to be excited for it, and they're going to want it because they're going to want to tame that beast, right? They're going to start seeing the beasts. They've seen that they're starting to wake up to all of this darkness. They're hyper-focusing on it. For the first time, it's like tangible for them to actually be able to see it. All this stuff that's been going on for a long period of time by these systems and these powers that be. This is working to unbind the minds of many people. It's part of the Great Awakening. It's what we've all been praying for. It's actually a very healing thing. This triggering of emotions through this event is really, it's serving a really good purpose. So you guys, that's what I got. At least you can take what resonates, you can throw the rest. That's how we do it. But this is just what I am getting, and this is what I'm sharing with you. The intentions behind the drone activity are good. They come from a good place. Okay, you guys? So until next time, know that I love you all. I'm wishing you all a very merry season. Whatever holiday you celebrate, I hope that it's full of blessings and love and fond memories and high vibrations and joy. And if you don't celebrate anything, I still want all of that for you. I want that for everybody, every day, always, all over the world. So yeah, I'm sending you all very good vibes, lots of love, lots of blessings, strength, perseverance, discernment, courage, high vibes. You know the drill. So yeah, until next time, you guys, I love you all very much, and you take care of yourselves. I will talk to you soon. All right, bye.